See, YouTube is just fantastic. Love it. Love the place. Nothing ever goes wrong. It's not like the system just screws itself over. This might seem a bit weird for a segment, but just something I want to talk about, which is fundamentally RT Game, which I know you also quite like.
Yeah, I've watched some of his videos. I'm pretty sure if he isn't an actual socialist, he makes jokes about being one, so disavow political takes, but he makes interesting and fun content for the most part when I've watched it.
Yeah.
He's played Dark Souls in a number of stupid and illogical ways.
But I've been watching his stuff for like a long time. I sort of stopped watching recently just because he's playing different games that I don't really care too much for, but whatever. And still subscribed to him, and this popped up in my subscription feed, and I gotta talk about it just because it's so dumb. So his video here is called YouTube is restricting my content, and the fundamental story of this is something which I'm just gonna try and summarize because 20 minutes is a bit much. So start off just with he uploads the best of 2021 video that he made for his year then, and apparently at the time this got age restricted and demonetized immediately, which is pretty weird because it's just clips from like all the videos he makes gaming.
I was half expecting it to be that some random person had copyright claimed all of the content under somebody else's name, because that has happened a few times as well.
It's a beautiful system. But no, this is just like a 3-hour, video of all the clips from YouTube, and it's like, okay, well, they're all on YouTube, none of them are age restricted. So why is the best of age restricted? That doesn't make sense. So he wrote to YouTube and they say, oh, yeah, sorry.
Maybe it's like the length excludes people with terrible attention spans or something. I don't know.
But apparently they wrote back and were just like, yeah, sorry about that. Got rid of that. Got rid of the demonetization. And he was like, okay, cool, whatever. If you go to the next one here, just have him messaging them. Because, of course, the only way to actually get YouTube's attention is to just message them on Twitter and whine. What an awful system.
It really is. I remember as well, I don't know if you're going to go into this, but there was another content creator who I watched a bit of last year called Totally Not Mark, who had like 5 years worth of videos going back where he was covering various anime series and such, just reviewing them and watching them and talking about his experiences, getting to know some of these stories. And then all of a sudden last year, I think Funimation or one of the companies that produces all of these things just copyright claimed his entire channel and left him with like 10 videos out of the original hundreds that he had posted on there. And he had to make a massive thing about it, and eventually I think they took the claim off. But the fact that a company can just do that when it's all under fair use and just destroy 5 years worth of your work is ridiculous.
It's a mess. But just on this is more like direct basis, because it's not some weird quirk of a copyright. This is YouTube directly censoring that video there. And just as a side note, I can't get over that you have to whine at a Twitter account. Wait, why isn't there like an internal email system or just a chat bot for Christ's sake for all things? But whatever. Anyway, got it back, put up his best of 2022 videos, and that got age restricted, still is age restricted apparently. Great, and demonetized. And so he's like, well, this happened last year. Back to whining on Twitter. Back to whining on Twitter, indeed. And he says that he messaged people from the Twitter account. They sent it to the outreach team, which apparently is a whole different thing. And they were just like, yeah, this is dumb. Doesn't make any sense. Sorry this happened to you last year, and sorry it's happened again. Don't see what the problem is. And so they wrote back saying that, no, it should be fine.
It always shocks me how that even the people working for YouTube seem to have no idea how the whole thing works and are always confused about why it's done something.
The best part. I mean, the people responsible for running what are the policies don't understand the policies. As in, stuff gets randomly just age restricted or deleted, and they're just like, I don't know why.
Yeah, let me fix that for you. I mean, if they fix it, then that's fine, but it shouldn't be happening in the first place.
So constantly. It's not. There is no way this is like a 1% referral rate. There's so many people who have to deal with this. And if you go to the next link here, they decided to write back and say, no, from the outreach team, and said, actually, everyone you've spoken to beforehand was wrong, even though they're literally paid to read the policies. We at the outreach team have decided that, no, your videos violate our... What was it?
Violent or graphic content policies.
Yeah. Which didn't make any sense because the original video didn't.
Okay, so they've even given him the specific timestamp that was identified as violating these policies. Which I'm sure this will clear it all up.
Well, it was actually a very nice thing of them to do because they don't do it usually. Like,
that's shocking to see, actually.
It's just because RT's that big, I think, and he's able to use that position there of several million
actually, they gave 2 timestamps. They said it's the scene starting here, and the content that violates it starts here. So
yeah, and you think that would be the end of it? Except that they then went and just age restricted a bunch of his other content after writing back to him.
Sorry, this is what you get for asking questions.
Yeah, so he was like, "You've messed up. Can you please unage restrict my video?" Well, I'm not getting any views because the views like go up and then they just flatline when you get age restricted because you've got to sign in with a government ID. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. so go to hell. And so he asked customer support here for YouTube, and customer support turned around and went, not only are you wrong, but they then censored a whole bunch of his other videos. They just decided they were all violating community guidelines as well. And said he found this because he was just refreshing the page, and just more and more of his content was suddenly locked.
Just like, we found out posthumously that you're just very, very naughty.
Yeah, it was like...
Not posthumously, but you know what I mean.
None of this is ever a problem, but it's a problem now. Right. We'll go to the graphic content, just guidelines, because the thing is, it doesn't even violate them. You gotta read them themselves, they're public. That's the mad thing. That's probably why Team YouTube were like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. They say in here that they basically ban real situations. So if there's a real situation of violence, this like, well,
so if I just post on YouTube, here's some guy getting beaten up.
But I smashing a guy's head with a hammer, not clickbait, and then you smashing a guy's head with a hammer. Yeah.
I mean, it really wasn't clickbait though.
Like,
gotta respect that.
Yeah, unless it's given like big context as to why this is taking place, such as like law enforcement footage
or like
such
news footage or
yeah,
something like that.
It's like, this is a thing that happened, news report, right? That's allowed. But if you're just showing off like a head with hammer, like, yeah, that's not
head with hammer, go smashy smashy.
that's not allowed. And then they say fictional content is also not really allowed unless it's given context. And it's like, well, okay, it's a video game. I think that's pretty good context, which is I'm playing a video game. It's not real.
Leave me with my vidya.
Yeah, so I just it can't possibly apply to him playing it was a horror game he was playing. That was why his content is all being destroyed, apparently.
But everybody plays horror games. All of the big gaming YouTubers got big through playing horror games. PewDiePie's big break, if I remember, was Amnesia.
But that's the other thing, which is just like, if you want to make all content that's 18 plus video games, for example, because there's violence in them, suddenly that's all banned on YouTube. I mean, like, as you say, like, goodbye PewDiePie, goodbye literally all of the gaming world on YouTube. Bye-bye. And if you go to the next one here, you also, just the fact, for people who don't know, when you upload a video, or just anything, you're actually asked by YouTube, is this for kids? And everyone hits no, because it's not for kids.
Yeah, this was a change they made a few years ago when a lot of these issues were happening originally, like back in, what was it, 2014, 2015 as well?
As you can see, they passed a new act in America, so it was
right.
a mandatory thing. But it's just the fact, it's like, yeah, none of this stuff is for kids, and yet you still decide that this isn't allowed. Right.
God, this all feels like ancient history.
So if you go the next, like here, if you get the timestamp, as you can see, like, he just got screwed. They're just absolutely screwed. Just loads of videos with 18 plus or everything demonetized. It's just like, why?
I do like that he changed one of them to a game so violent YouTube restricted this video. That's quite funny.
You know what that is as well?
What was it?
It's a cleaning simulator.
It's Viscera cleaning simulator.
Yeah.
I can see in this thumbnail, actually, yeah.
For people who don't know, there's no violence. There's zero violence.
It's post-violence. There's been like some, maybe you're on a space station, there's been an alien attack and everyone's dead. You're just the guy cleaning up the bodies.
But this really like cartoony crap, there's blood everywhere and you gotta mop it up.
Oh yeah, there's on the walls there'll be like "help me" written in blood and you just like wash it off.
Yeah.
It's
anyway.
quite funny.
And he says the worst part for the demonetization thing is something I hadn't really cottoned onto. Apparently it's the new swearing policy they have, which is that you can't swear within the first 15 seconds of the video.
Wasn't there also that you can't swear within the first like 10 minutes of the video or something?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh really?
It's just this get you on the list for the naughty step. It's like, not only is swearing something that might get you on there. Usually it was just allowed, like, yeah, you could say a few bad words or some censored bad words, like, who cares? Like, it's no one cares. Come on, what year are you living in? But then now, if you swear at all in the first 15 seconds, just it's no money for you. He then goes on to whine about hate speech, which I like RT and all, but dude, come on. Like, he's complaining that, oh, well, you know, I'm doing this and YouTube's censoring me, but there's way worse things like hate speech on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, shut up. Shut up, man.
RT, I like you, don't make it difficult to like you.
Because I think it's probably ignorance on his part, to be fair, because if you actually go to like YouTube's hate speech guidelines, for example...
He hangs around with like Jacksepticeye and all of those sorts of people who are very much in the mainstream liberal left bubble.
I just think it's ignorance.
I think they're just a bunch of normies. Which is...
What I mean.
Yeah, which is surprising because PewDiePie has actually been recommending some relatively based books to his followers recently.
Yeah, well, PewDiePie isn't ignorant and makes an effort not to be ignorant.
Yeah, which I respect.
But the hate speech policy, for people who don't know, so promoting violence is already banned. So when they say hate speech is not allowed on YouTube, we remove content that promotes violence or hatred. So the violence part doesn't matter because that's already banned, so whatever. So you can't promote hatred towards individual groups based on any of the following attributes. There's just a bunch of X characteristics. And the argument being, of course, that, well, you're born with it, so it's unfair and wrong that you should have hatred towards you on that basis. Except then it obviously just includes a bunch of others that you're not born with. I mean, like, veteran status, for example. I don't...
You're born out of the womb, like, clutching your leg, and just, with a little helmet on.
You don't know, man.
You weren't there.
Yeah, it's just like, okay. And then we're not even going to get a debate about all the other crap there, but just the whole concept of hate speech as well is mad. The idea that you would ban hate in and of itself.
And I can't
ludicrous.
believe that people are discriminated against purely for the characteristics they were born with. I could never imagine anything like that happening to me.
But then also, why not include hair color as well? I mean, like gingers. I mean, we've seen what's happened to Harry.
We should discriminate against gingers. I think that's right.
You're allowed to do that still, I think, for now. But my point being...
Obviously, that was a joke, just in case.
Anyway. But if you go back to YouTube, just for RT, because the funny thing is, like, his advice now is, if you get in trouble with YouTube, just don't say anything. Just don't tell YouTube. Shut up. Otherwise, it might come for you. That's how bad it is now. Your customer support is literally just, what if we destroy your entire livelihood? It's like, great, thanks for the help. I'm glad I messaged.
Complain, will you? Delete channel.
So, yeah, the advice is now from him, just don't even complain. It reminds me, there's a law in America about, endangered species. So you find some, like, rare frog in your backyard. And if you tell the authorities, they'll declare that your entire field is sacrosanct and you can't do anything with the land and now it's worthless.
So the law is accidentally incentivize find rare species in garden, kill rare species in garden.
Kill it, bury it, shut up. I think that's the rule. Like, that's become the motto.
And that's like in China, where it's like if you cause someone to have to go to hospital, you have to pay the bills. So most of the time, if you accidentally hit someone, you'll just, like, the people will just try and run them back over to make sure they're dead.
Perfect system. Such as, I have a problem with my video. Can you please help YouTube? Oh, that's nice. How about I delete your entire channel? Thanks, YouTube. I'm so sorry, YouTube. it's so
I've
dumb.
learned my lesson, YouTube, please.
Yeah. I know the vulgar content stuff as well. Like, Soundsmith, just as a side note, just another channel I watch. Like, I've noticed he mentioned that for the foreseeable future, all of the first 15 seconds of his videos is just going to be nonsense. Because he just can't risk swearing or, like, even TF2 if there's blood.
Oh, I thought it was just going to be complete silence, like eerie silence. Like, you don't know what's going on, and then... Hello, everybody!
Yeah, I know with those Fallout New Vegas creators as well, like people who make videos about Fallout New Vegas, they've had to basically stop using VATs because the bot is just like, well, that's extreme violence. It's not. But okay, whatever.
And it's quite, like, let's be honest, the graphics of Fallout New Vegas have not aged particularly well.
Eerily realistic rape.
It's very poorly rendered gore.
What's the thing about video games? It never really looked realistic, frankly. Like, do you remember that clip of the eerily realistic rape? Do you know what I'm referencing?
I know from GTA Online.
People who don't know, I think it was Vice or whoever. They ran a story about, it was like Fox News or something. They ran a story about like this footage of a character in GTA bent over and another one like pretending to dry hump, all with clothes on. And the voiceover was like this
right to hell
realistic
retribution
rape
level sex scene.
Like just crap. I think all video games are like that. They're all cartoony. I don't know why people seem to be on this train of like, oh, it's basically real life. It's just whenever you see it, it's always embarrassing.
Trying to think. I mean, obviously graphics have got a lot better. I will say, watching through Let's Plays of The Last of Us Part 2, they should have been age restricted because there was some bloody awful and traumatizing sex scenes in that game that I did not need to see.
I never got around to playing it.
I didn't play it. I watched Let's Plays of it because I thought I enjoyed the story of the first one. Kind of can't be arsed with the second one. Let's see what it's like, and it was not worth buying anyway.
Well, I won't. But anyway, we'll get to the vulgar language content as well, because that's just funny. They're saying here, explicit content that violates this policy will get an age restriction. So this is what happens at RT. You can also get a content removal or a strike for swearing. Cool, thanks. Yeah, you swear too many times. Goodbye to your video and your whole channel. Neat. Just, okay. Okay, this makes the place better. They also say sexually explicit language or narratives is banned. It's describing sex, I presume. The other ones make sense, which is excessive use of profanity. That doesn't really make any sense, but whatever. Heavy profanity or sexual suggestive terms in the content's title, thumbnail, associated media. Okay, then clickbait crap. Use of excessive sexual sounds. Yep. All right, I can agree with that one, because that's just weird.
That would be kind of funny, though, to just end the last 10 seconds of a video completely out of context.
Just hentai noises. It's like, right, okay. And then just the thing at the bottom, they just said that the above list isn't complete. So you can just get banned for swear words that YouTube don't like one day.
I do love when they do lists like that where it's just like, and then guess.
Literally.
And then you get to find out as a surprise.
RT game. Swearing is banned if you use it a lot or a little. Who knows? Find out one way, which is he did. And then it's just all his content screwed now. Great. There's also the whole borderline content thing, which is just, I'm never going to get over how stupid this is. I don't know if you know about this.
No, I don't. What's the borderline content?
YouTube decided to come out one day and said that, okay, so we got rules against what's allowed on the platform. There's also just content I don't like.
Stuff that our moderator just
he thinks
mid on, you know?
He thinks it's icky. So they made borderline content, which is content that isn't against the rules, but they've made against the unofficial rules. So you know the and guess section? I mean, this is the and guess section.
All right, okay.
Of what's not allowed. They don't actually ever define what it is either.
And we've seen great progress, apparently.
Yeah, they just decided to start reducing recommendations for what they call
We
borderline.
defined content that we won't tell you what it is as bad, and then we got rid of that content. This is progress.
Yeah, and then there's COVID, which we're not allowed to speak of. But just the guidelines on that, just who knows. They constantly change as well. You get the next link here, John. Let me see that.
Yep.
We can't say anything.
I know what's coming up
we'll leave
next
it be.
as well, because we
the-
had to mention it in the office the other day.
And the last thing I have to mention, just the absolute state of YouTube, is just election integrity is very important to me, which is why I believe that all of American elections for president have been absolutely perfect, every single one of them, which is now the standard. If you scroll down on this, I don't know why they keep doing this, but of course everyone remembers the perfect election that happened.
The completely legitimate election of George Washington.
Yep, that one. Not that one.
And Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, if you scroll down, John, so then we can actually see the list of elections which are perfect, which is just a little bit up. Then we see it. Yep. Any past U.S. presidential election now. It's not just the 2021, which is the old standard. It's now every single presidential election in all of American history is unquestionable. Mm-hmm. Which I don't know how much I'm allowed to say before setting off a bot, but I just love the idea that some guy's going to set up a channel denying like the Washington elections.
John Jay, 100% legitimate.
And then there's the other list, the 2021 German federal election. Not any of the other elections.
I do have to ask a question. Does this mean that leftists are no longer allowed to complain about Florida in 2000, the Bush-Gore thing?
No, that does break the terms of service, and you should report them for it, according to YouTube.
All right, lads, you know what to do.
Yeah. The 2021 German federal election, that's perfect. None of the other German ones, though. Every American one is perfect. But only one German one.
And then only very specifically, we've only found out that in the past 8 to 9 years that Brazil has really cracked down on election corruption.
And then they just said, keep in mind, this is not a complete
Yeah, there
list.
you go.
And
guess.
And guess as to what else is not allowed to be said. What a beautiful system.
Do you remember South Park, where there's the episode where they try and find out how Family Guy jokes are made, and they go, and it's just a bunch of manatees picking balls with random subjects for the cutaway gags. That's YouTube.
We have content guidelines, and then we have the and guess guidelines, which
are controlled entirely by the sacred manatees.
We cut off a chicken head, throw it into the ring.
Yep.
What bans? The 2021 German federal election.
All right, make it so.
Okay. I don't 2014 Brazilian election. Where's that come from?
Like I said, 2014 is when they really cracked down on corruption. Finally, thank God.
All of a sudden, it was all gone. Anyway, but we'll end this off just by mentioning for people who don't know, you should go over to lotus.com and check out the reason for this and a lot of others, which is Auntie Susan, of course. This is an article in which she just explains why she ruined YouTube, and she ruined it because of her fifis. I'm not even joking. She just decides that she wants everyone to know about a terrorist attack. So she starts forcing it into people's feeds.
Oh yeah, I remember this. This was back in 2016, wasn't it? Because they felt that they had done wrong by allowing content that encouraged people to vote for Donald Trump to be on the website at all.
And then she started to whine about the Paris attacks. She was like, everyone in Paris needs to know about these. Everyone in France needs to know about them.
I'm sure everybody already knew about them.
Well, direct quote is that the engineers came back to her and said, no one's clicking on those links. Like, they're forcing these videos into your recommended, artificially.
Yep. Well, it's like
and she said, I don't care.
I've fallen asleep once or twice watching YouTube, and it's very rare when it happens, but I will occasionally do that watching some like political content. And then when you wake up, if you just let it take you...
Fox News, CNN...
Yeah, always just the mainstream sources. That's only where the recommended will take you if you go on the first recommended.
And there's a reason for that. Literally her. She's the reason. And I'm going to take, like, if you just Google any current figure when they're blowing up, I'm using Andrew Tate just because he's the most recent one right now for things to mind. But if you scroll, Sky News, The Independent, ITV News, And then they've added in this where they try and actually have some YouTube content. But if you keep scrolling, it'll go back to mainstream sources as well.
I think as well as being because of her fees, it will probably also be to do with advertisers wanting it to be a particular type of content that their content is shown on.
The legacy media cartel. But I'm using Andrew Tate here, but I remember when we were running on the MEP campaign, and you looked up Carl or Sargon at the time, like it would just completely destroy your search results. You would just get mainstream sources.
You wouldn't get his channel.
No, it just wouldn't turn up, and it was like, great, cool. That's not artificial at all. Anyway, I thought I'd just whine about the state of YouTube because it annoyed me, and frankly, justice for RT. I don't know. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the book clubs we do, this one on Gad Saad's The Parasitic Mind. If you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.